Well, this is what the 704 looks like so far. Next, I'm going to clean up the toolbox and fender assembly. And I'm going to do the seat spring also, because it's held on by the same bolts. I'm going to take it apart so I can clean it. So I want to clean up the threads on these bolts. Alright, I'm going to put some PB Blaster on them. I'm going to use a block of wood so I can clamp this in the vise here. Okay, time for the wire brush again. I'm going to use this welding slag hammer to knock these chunks of rust out of here. If you see something that looks like a bump, it's probably because there's rust underneath it. So you want to hit it until it comes off of there. Sometimes it takes a good amount of force. Sometimes you can find a weak spot and poke a hole right through it. Switching to the smaller brush to get in the corners. And I got this old screwdriver I use for scraping. The corners are already worn down on it. I can't get in this hole in the back to clean it very well. Didn't get it within the view of the camera there either. Okay, on to the fenders. Look, there's a big crack in that one, Jake. This one's got a crack in it. And an extra set of holes too. I'm going to clean one bolt and one nut here, and then I'm going to do the rest of them off camera. To clean the nuts, I put them on a longer bolt to use as a handle. If you weld these as they are, you're going to burn the paint off, so you might as well sandblast that area. Keep the impurities out of your weld job. So I got to get the metal on each side of the crack lined up. With the contours of the fender, I can't really do it on a flat surface. So I got this round bar and I made it flat on the end. And I'm going to use it as an anvil. You want to hit it lightly so you don't expand the metal. You're just trying to line up the broken pieces. I'm going to switch to a hammer with a more rounded face. I don't like my welder settings. Gotta change something. I can do without this clamp now too. When you're fixing a crack, you need to get the two broken parts lined up with each other again. When you're doing a longer crack, it's hard to get them all lined up all at the same time. So I do it in sections. The part that I have welded here is really the only area that I had lined up good. So now that that's welded in place, I'm going to line up another area and weld that section. I'm going to fix this short one at the top because it's already lined up. Where this raised part is here, it's not lined up very well, so I need to fix that. I have a dowel pin here, and it's small enough to fit in the radius of that raised area. So I'm going to use that as an anvil. I'm going to position the dowel pin directly underneath this groove, and then I'll be able to line up the edges here. That feels good there. So I'm ready to weld that section. I got a few other cracks radiating out from this hole here. Now when you look at the other side, you can see most of those came all the way through. So now any place I don't have full penetration, or any place that still looks like a crack, I'm going to weld from this side. Well, I think that's all the welding. Now I'm going to start the grinding. So one of the reasons you see me using the edge of the grinding wheel instead of the flat side of the grinding wheel is because when you put this much weld into a piece, it's not going to be flat. So I'm not grinding the weld down to get it flat. I'm grinding the weld down to get it smooth. And there's going to be some waviness here. So now I got it generally smooth. I'm going to make it flat so that I can finish it. Alright, I got a selection of files here, some flat and some round, because I need to get this thing closer to flat, or smooth if it's curved, just not wavy. On the inside of a curved part like this, the file doesn't work so well. So what I use is this stone. So I don't know if it was originally a sharpening stone, but you can buy these for industrial purposes. They're used for deburring metal. So I'm going to stone on this for a while. As the stone wears away, it conforms to the shape of the material, and that's why it works on the inside of a curve like this. There's a high spot right there. So I'm going back in with the grinder for a little bit. The stone doesn't remove as much metal as the file, so sometimes you got to adjust it. I'm going to fix the other fender off camera, but I wanted to show how I fill these holes. So I'm going to do this one here that I have sandblasted. I don't want to cut a little piece of metal to fit in there, so I'm just going to fill it up with weld. So what helps me do that is this brass plate. I'm going to clamp that on the back side, and the weld won't stick to the brass. You need to turn your welder down since you're welding on the edge, and it works best if you can do it in one continuous motion. That should clean up nicely. This is what the other side looks like. Sometimes I have to add weld on the back side. This one looks pretty good. I painted the areas that I repaired, and also the areas that didn't have any paint left because of the rust. Alright, I'm going to bolt them together. Well, that took longer than expected. So I'm going to end the video here. I hope it's not too long for everybody. So that's all I'm doing this time. And that's what it looks like. Alright, that's it.